You cannot be shy and broke. It just does not work. It cannot work. You did that last year. You cannot try it again this year. I did it, and to be honest, it did not yield anything. Hey friends, I'm Jessica, Donkey Mind Psychic at the Creative Virtual Assistant, and in this channel, I share what I'm learning about building a sustainable freelance business. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something that's been holding a lot of we shy people back: the fear of being seen. Some people call it timidity, others call it introversion, but I call it over. You know why? Because I'm sitting here to find the one person who is going to tell me, oh, I was shy and I still achieved all of my goals. I'm here to find that one person. If you know anybody in your circle, feel free to send them our way. Before we dive in, if you're watching and not yet subscribed, don't be stingy now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notification bell so that you do not miss videos like this. I believe I found the reason why we can't help but love movies with characters that are shy, timid, and invisible. It's like watching ourselves in real time because we see ourselves in them. And when we see them get that job, that promotion, that business, or a boy that they've been crushing on, or a girl, we feel inspired because they're showing us the blueprint that with certain changes and decisions, we too can change the trajectory of our lives. And after watching these movies, we feel inspired and vow to do the one thing that scares us. But motivation only lasts till reality sets in, and those horrible questions start to pop. What if I look stupid? What if they call me try hard? What if I'm wrong? What if I fail? I mean, these questions will definitely pop up. I'm like, what if I look stupid? Is the most famous of all of those words. And to be honest, this is the period that I wish I could be that one friend. You know, that one friend, that embarrassment, and them, they're like this. But I've come to terms with the fact that I might not be that, I might never be that friend. But I do know that I do not want to leave this world with regrets, with what ifs, with maybe, without seeing how far I can, push myself, without getting to know my limits. And I know that the one thing standing between me and crossing that fear is choosing the opposite: courage, bravery, shamelessness. And when it comes to doing something or doing the opposite of how we're wired, it calls for drawing back or trying to remember the times, the little times we have done something like this. This is where you try to recall, when have you been brave? When have you been, shameless enough to go after the things you want without caring about what other people thought about? I mean, for me, I can remember three times that I've been brave. First was when I struggled with my body image. Second time was I wanted to be more outspoken because being, a mumbler wasn't really helping me. And the third time was when I was out of a job. I needed a job. So these three times, these three situations, I was not a shy girl. I mean, I sometimes I recall and I'm like, where did that girl go? At the time of making this video, I realized that there were some things there that was consistent in all of them. And I'm going to share them with you because if they worked in those three times, they will definitely work again this time around. So the first thing that I noticed that was really, really consistent, I said it's small. Starting small is really huge. Like when we watch those movies, we feel so inspired. But the mistake that we make is we want to do big, start big, and all of that. But in those three occasions, I started small. Like the time that I wanted to be more outspoken. In fact, the worst thing then for a teacher to do was to ask me a question in class. It was like the ground to just open and swallow me up. That's the worst thing you can do. That's the worst thing that can happen to me. A teacher calling me to answer questions. Also in secondary school, I realized that people who were more outspoken were seen to be smarter and much more intelligent and selected for certain positions. Not like I was looking for a position, but I realized that just because you could speak better and you were more outspoken, you were confident, it positioned you as someone who, was reliable, someone who could do things, someone who could take on some roles or some position. And I needed to do that. So the first thing I did when I wanted to was I started answering questions in class. But this time around, I didn't wait for the teacher to point me. So if the teacher asked a question and I knew the answer, I would just raise my hand up and see the answer. I mean, in a week and in each class, I would answer questions. I would try and answer a question. These were my classmates. I started from there, and then okay, I got comfortable speaking in class. I took it a notch. I started praying during assembly. So there's this thing during assembly. Before the principal comes to give her talk for that week, they will call on a Muslim and a Christian to come pray. So I used to rush. So immediately the teacher, finished giving all the whole announcement and all, or singing the national anthem, say, oh, one person to come and pray, you have to be fast because, well, other people too want to pray. So I always try as much as possible to be quick, to be the Christian that would pray. And it was much more easier because we're closing our eyes. I mean, we're praying. So I'll just close my eye and say my prayer. And the Muslim girl too, I went to an only girls' school. So the girl too would quickly say it and we just leave. So bit by bit, I was already comfortable answering questions in class. I was already praying in a larger scale. So with time, I started small. Even the workout, I started small. So that's one thing with being shameless. Like recording a YouTube video, I cannot tell you how many times I have procrastinated setting this tripod and just hitting record. I'm like, you know what? If I can record the intro, I've won. So I won. So that's the first point of embracing or being the opposite of our shy introverted self is starting small. We cannot go big. We are not like those extroverted people, but we can start bit by bit, still being in our own confines, but stepping outside of our comfort zone. And we do that by starting small. The second thing that was consistent in all of those times I was shameless was that I had a picture. So in that time that I wanted to lose weight, I had a picture of how I wanted to look. It wasn't easy because then, I mean, skinny was in vogue. But all of a sudden, I started seeing images. I don't even know how I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a girl that looked like me. I mean, she wasn't obese, but she had flesh. And I'm like, this is someone that looks like me. And I really like the way she carried herself and all of that. I'm like, I want that. So I had an image of the result that I wanted, and I started showing up the way my role model would, the way future me would. I think they call this the Batman effect. When you embody the characteristics of someone you admire, you start acting like them, you be like them. So at this point, I didn't even know what the Batman effect was, but this was it in motion. I already had an image and I was just following through. And the third thing that I noticed that was consistent in all of the different instances that I embrace rejection. So it's not like that one friend embarrassment and then like 5 or 6, but I I saw no, I saw rejection at try again. I know it sounds so cliche, but I promise you that's how it was. So after school I was looking for a job and there's still nepotism in action where it is who you know, what you know, connections. People don't call it nepotism anymore, they call it networking. Anyway, nepotism and networking obviously is different. But there was a time where we didn't have access to people, we didn't have access to tools like LinkedIn, Instagram. I mean, we hadn't even thought of putting our work out there so that people would see what we could do. So in those situations, especially for people in the lower class and in the lower middle class, it was really, really hard, especially when you don't have the network or the connections, or your parents don't even have the network or the connections. You have to go out there. You have to go on the streets. If you send mail, you're on your own. You still have to go knock on doors. You don't have the connection. Go there and speak. And after NYC, so NYC is kind of like a mandatory 1 year service to the government for every graduate, for every Nigerian graduate. So if you don't meet higher education, you have to serve the country for a year. So they'll put you in an organization to work. And me, COVID had already taken out of school year for me, and just COVID strike, all of that. They've already taken out of school year, and I was already, I had already wasted enough time. For me, I'd already wasted enough time, coupled with the fact that I wasn't even going to practice the course that I studied. So after that, I was like, I cannot waste this 1 year of my life. I cannot, I'm so sorry, but I cannot give it to the Nigerian government to dictate how my 1 year would be. I looked for, you know, agencies around where I stayed, checked them out, and wore my uniform, carried the file and the envelope. I started working on it. I remember going through that office, stammering through my pitch, like sweating like crazy. I probably looked crazy, but I got the job. In fact, I got from that work, I got 2 job offers that I even had to, decline one. Really uncomfortable, getting those rejections. But at the end of the day, I probably wouldn't have gotten any job offer if I, was too embarrassed to go out there, or to be seen trying, to be seen looking for a job, or to be seen carrying my file and envelope around. I did not care that period. All I cared about was not giving the government the chance to waste 1 year of my life. Another powerful thing that I didn't do then is speaking words into my life. So I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe I believe he wants us to win, he wants me to win, he wants you to win. And even the Bible really provides help for timid and shy people. And there are two verses I always like to anchor myself whenever I feel like nervous or shy. One of the verses is 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. So I'm going to read here. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So as a Christian, I draw from the Bible, and this verse is one of the verses that helps me. Struggling with crippling anxiety. And the second verse that I always to anchor myself is Joshua 1, verse 9, which reads, "Have I not commanded you?" This is God speaking. Be brave, be courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than that. That God is telling me, have I not told you? No, He's not even saying told. Have I not commanded you? Be brave, be courageous. Do not be afraid. I am with you. And those two verses really help. So speaking them into my life whenever I feel this crippling fear, whenever I feel like this anxiety, or whenever I want to, pitch a client, or whenever I want to, hop on a sales call, when somebody feels like discovery call, because sometimes there's this thing where dream clients, kind of like reach out to you and want to work with you and book a discovery call with you. In my mind, I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So most times I have to remind myself and speak words and verses like that really help, that God has not given me a spirit of timidity, so I have no reason to be afraid because God is with me. So so those two verses, I'm sure they're pretty much, there are a lot of verses. And there's even this saying that the word "do not be afraid" appears 365 times in the Bible. So it gives us something to ponder, that God knows that fear is a common part or a common feeling with human nature, but it is like Him reminding us almost every day, do not be afraid, for 365 days. So whenever I want to take the easy way out or shrink back, I always see these verses. I meditate on these verses over and over again. So I did a small exercise at the point of shooting this video, and I think it's going to help you as well. So there are three questions, or there are three things you have to answer. So the first thing is, why do you not want to be shy anymore? Why do you not want to be shy anymore? The second thing is, what is shyness costing you right now? What is the cost of you're being quiet? What is the cost of shrinking back? What's the cost of you hiding? What's the cost of what is shyness, introversion, shrinking back? What is it costing you right now? And the third thing is, what's the one thing you want to achieve that will make the most impact in your life right now, but you're scared to? Like for me right now, some of my goals are to get really super comfortable in sales calls and pitching prospective clients, go on more coffee chats with my peers, post on LinkedIn, and also to get really comfortable creating more content. Let me know, what's the one thing you're starting with? Is it speaking up more in meetings, sending out pitches to prospective clients, starting your content creation journey, or is it going out more? Let me know in the comments so that we could encourage each other. Anyways, that's it for this video. So don't forget to subscribe for more weekly videos like this, and I will see you in the next one. Until next time, be shameless, be brave, and do it afraid. Bye.